it's difficult to be self-aware about this, I find. But if I could look back, I think something that could maybe would have helped me along is having a lot more confidence in myself and my abilities and actually understanding what it is I can bring to the table. It took me a long time to figure out that I was actually good at this, to be honest. Or that I was a good assistant or, a good engineer. It took, because I feel like, when you do something badly, people tell you. When you do something well, you don't get told as much, especially in this industry. And, as I feel like I am someone who needs that validation a little bit more. But, I think there's something to be said about just believing and, self validating myself and thinking critically about like, that if there was something bad that happened on a session, for example, or maybe I had underperformed, let's say, I would just have to think back and say, okay, well, did you do everything that was within your control to make sure that this went smoothly? Yes, you did. So there's no point going back and like twiddling your thumbs at home and thinking about all the things I could have done differently and, how bad of an assistant I am, blah, blah, blah. There's no point. If there was something that I could have done better, great, apply it tomorrow when I go back into the studio. Or if there was something, I wish I would have asked for help a lot more as well. I wish I had spoken up even when I was at the Institute saying, actually, I didn't really catch that. Could you explain that to me one more time? Would have made all the difference, because I think too often we're afraid of being wrong, or afraid to show that sort of weakness, afraid to like actually let people know like, hey, I'm learning here. I think especially in an industry where everything is so competitive all the time, there's a lot of that. I want to call it toxic energy, where, it's like, I have to compete with you. I have to act like I know everything all the time so that more people might want to work with me. I don't think that's the case. I think that now I definitely know that I learn something every time I come out of a session.
Of course. Yeah.
And, I will only get better with time. And that's really important to understand as anyone in any occupation, I think. But it's very easy when you work in the industry that you're really deeply passionate about to put a lot of pressure on yourself. So I wish I would probably tell my younger self to have a little bit more confidence and be able to think critically about your work and like go back and think like, I actually did really well at these things, instead of maybe like self-criticizing too much.
Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of things in that. I feel like a lot of things I resonated with also.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's, maybe we have like similar psychologies of like being hard on ourselves, being a perfectionist, thinking about where you screwed up as opposed to what you did right.
Exactly.
Focusing on the negative things and also just that timidness of like not being ready to say like, no, this is what I do. Like,
100%. And, I still get that sometimes. Like, I think the other day, one of the bigger vocal producers that I look up to, he introduced me to someone else. Oh, this is Ramera. Like, she's a vocal producer as well. And like, I have been doing this for like 5 years, which maybe to some people it's not that long, but as I've said, I'm always learning. But even when he introduced me as a vocal producer, I was like, oh, well, but because I'm shy to admit to somebody that I have looked up to that I do the same thing as them, but that shouldn't be the case. We should all be kind of, and that's all in my own mind. I mean, that's all on me, but there's some, I have to there's a lot of unlearning that has to be done sometimes. So
yeah, it's true. I when I was my journey has been, I've been doing audio for like 12 years, but at the same time I was pursuing like a wedding band gig and doing other bass playing gigs and stuff throughout. So I've been like only like hardcore, like just trying to make the studio be the thing that does everything for me for maybe 6 years or something. And kind of when I was making that transition from like, being a audio engineer, but also like, wedding band bass player into, in the studio stuff, I'd be like, yeah, I guess I'm like sort of a producer, or I'm sort of like, I would say I'm sort of doing this. And like, someone's like, no, like, I think my friend said, if this is what you're trying to do, then you have to say this is what you're doing,
yes,
like,
of course. How are people supposed to know otherwise?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't convince yourself, how are you going to convince other people
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
this is hey, this is no, this is what I'm doing, and that's
Yeah.
okay.